Good evening and welcome to tonight's Andover at Home virtual event. Tonight is Academics at Andover, and that is the topic tonight, Academics at Andover. We will discuss all things academics, from course offerings and placements to teaching philosophies to the many mechanisms for student support and academic help here at Andover, and a lot more. My name is Kevin Graber. I am a Senior Associate Director of Admissions here at Phillips Academy Andover, and like most faculty, I get to do a bunch of fun stuff. I live on campus with my wife Tina and our 3 children. I also help run a dorm. I'm an academic advisor. I teach in the classroom as part of our empathy, balance, and inclusion curriculum. I coach a varsity sport, and I serve as advisor to our senior class. But tonight, thankfully, you won't hear that much from me. Instead, we have a star-studded lineup, including our Dean of Studies, Raj Mundra, Assistant Dean of Studies and Director of Academic Advising, Catherine Tousignant, Math Department Chair, Joel Jacob, Russian Department Chair, Cassie Archambault, English Department Chair, Leo Kaleha, and we have with us a trio of rock star current students, Sakina, Safwat, and Sophie. Thank you so much for being here with us. You are the highlight of the program. And behind the scenes, my amazing colleagues, Director of Admission, Jill Thompson, and Assistant Director of Admission, Jamie Finney. And if you like, as attendees during the course of this webinar, if you want to lob some questions into the Q&A, Ms. Thompson and Ms. Finney will be behind the scenes answering some questions in that Q&A. We may have time at the end of our webinar to have some questions in the general session here as well. But let's get right to it. We want to maximize our time. You have some very good questions about academics at Andover. We have some answers. Mr. Mundra, as Dean of Studies, and you're also a longtime member of our teaching faculty, and you are a parent of not one, but 2 Andover graduates. I think you have a truly unique point of view. So please, if you could, just take some time to lend us your perspective on academics at Andover, like how we teach, how we learn, course selections, an overview of the curriculum, whichever direction you'd like to take it. We leave it in your very capable hands for a little bit.
Thanks so much, Kevin. It's a pleasure to be here, and I welcome everyone who's tuning in. Thanks for taking the time to learn a little bit more about our program. My name is Raj Mundra, and I am the Dean of Studies, and I teach biology. And I'm also an advisor. I coach football. I've been taking students and faculty to India for 15 years on a Learning in the World program. And I really love this community. I love the values of the community. And so one of the things I want to start off with is students learn in different ways. And so we teach with a variety of methods at Andover. Every day in every class, we see engagement in so many different ways. As I said, I teach biology. We have discussions, debates, we play games, conduct labs, use the makerspace. And just a couple of weeks ago, a number of Bio 100 classes were engaged in a fantastic lab extracting DNA from a strawberry. And what this led to was just a wild set of questions around this. The first being, I didn't know strawberries had DNA. And I didn't know that I was sort of related to a strawberry. But then it got into more interesting questions for me, also around cell membranes. And so then students designed their own labs based on the question that they had. And so we have guest speakers, including other teachers and alumni coming in. Students make public presentations, on and on. But I want to share that the variety makes teaching, I believe, more engaging, more meaningful, more fun. I'm going to share 2 questions, 2 of my favorite questions these days that I like to ask students. The first one is, what's the best work you've done at Andover? And how do you know? And it's so interesting to ask any student this question and hear what their response would be. There are 3 themes that keep coming up that I believe are central to the PA experience. One is mastery of knowledge and skills. It feels so good to learn something so well and have certain skills to solve problems, ask great questions, and want to learn even more. The second theme that comes up in responses is identity. Students saw themselves connected to what they were learning. and doing. It was personally relevant and meaningful to them. And the third theme is creativity, the opportunity to think expansively, independently, and produce something on their own rather than simply receiving information. And I think if you asked the students on this panel, perhaps they will allude to some of those characteristics within our curriculum. We're very proud at Andover to offer a liberal arts education. We have requirements in every discipline, and we do not promote a pre-professionalization pathway for any student. We believe that students will discern their own pathway, maybe at Andover, maybe post-Andover, but we believe having a great foundation to think and to listen and to learn is essential. Our curriculum opens up doors for students to understand the world outside of themselves, to make sense of issues and noise and stories and people and places and cultures and communities and systems. And that is swirling all around us all the time. At the same time, our academic program also guides each student to pay close attention to their inner journey, to their growing passion, to their developing values. It's an incredible time of self-discovery. And we know that between the ages of 13 and 19, there's a lot of stirring going on for a teenager. So my second favorite question these days is, what's bothering you? And I really like to ask that question of students and then sort of get into a discussion of what's bothering them and how that is connected to what they're learning. I want to just say a couple of things about our learning environment.
Hey, Mr. Mundra, I just want to, there's a little bit of feedback happening, and we're getting some comments in the chat. There's like maybe something brushing up against a microphone or.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry about that.
Okay, sorry. I didn't know when to jump in and so.
Yeah, thanks. You know, the learning environment here encourages a type of independent thinking. It also, at the same time, a legendary teacher here calls the classroom a space of collective genius. And I really think that this idea of a team of people who generate ideas and build upon each other's responses in order to reach a deeper understanding, this is what's happening every day in classes. The idea of a team and bringing out the best in each other is central to our work. And it's also great when the people in your class are talented and curious and very different from you. And we know that the widest range of experiences and perspectives bring about the strongest education outcomes. And so, you know, how do students navigate through our academic program? I'm going to leave a little bit to Catherine to talk about advising and the role of advisors. I will say that the 9th and 10th grade is about establishing an excellent foundation for critical thinking, extensive research, different forms of writing, problem solving, healthy ways to manage your time, work with others, ask for help. We require students to take courses in English, language, arts, math, history, science in the 9th grade. And then in the 10th grade, students will take religion and philosophy, they will take physical education, and they will continue their journey through our program. And in the 11th and 12th grade, students have more choice, and there's so many different electives to choose from. Second languages, computer science, biochem electives, incredible arts. Every single discipline has offerings that students can sort of go to the highest level. And by highest level, I mean at the college level, at a second year college level. I used to teach a course on global sanitation. It was a combination of biology and economics and ethics. And so there are plenty of opportunities. One of the most important things, one of the questions that I get is about placement. And it's a really important question because students are coming from so many different backgrounds, so many different middle schools, so many different homeschool environments. And so students are placed in math and language based on prior experience and carefully designed placement tests before starting at Andover. And there's also flexibility in which level you are placed in at the start of the term, so you are challenged appropriately. We really want to take time and personalize your start. And so we spend a lot of time in that. I think I'm running out of time. The last thing I want to just say is what we prepare students for with an Andover education. And I'm so proud to say that we prepare students to make informed choices, to become engaged citizens, to understand different types of humanity, to discern ideologies, to challenge intolerance and injustice, and to commit to the public good. We're aligned with our values of knowledge and goodness, youth from every quarter, and non-city. And so thanks for listening in, and I'm eager to hear from my colleagues and our students.
Well said, Mr. Mundra. Thank you. Ms. Tousignant, like Mr. Mundra, you're a longtime classroom teacher, and also you've taken on the role of Director of Advising. Can you tell us a little bit about the role of the advisor and how we ensure students at Andover have adults in their lives who know and support them?
I sure can. Good evening, everyone. I think by some metrics, Andover can seem like a really big school, and we have a number of structures in place to help students feel connected to smaller groups. And the advising program is one way we achieve this sense of, a sort of a smaller team, a set of adults who meets with each student regularly. So we have a little bit of a different structure for day students and for boarders. We have a large number of day students here at Phillips Academy. And because the day students live at home, the role of the advisor is to serve as the primary adult contact for the family or the guardians, the primary adult who is overseeing and nurturing every aspect of a student's sort of movement, engagement with our program. The boarders live in dorms. And so at the heart of our advising system lies what we call the core team. Each student has a core team of adults. It's comprised of the cluster dean and either the day student advisor for day students or the primary house counselor and the advisor for boarding students. And this core team sees students regularly, at least once a week, if not more frequently. And they support the students' entire well-being, and they nurture, I would say they nurture the growth of the student on sort of several parallel planes at once. So our advising program seeks to, as Raj was just saying, help students develop a really sort of sophisticated skill set around making informed decisions. Our program is really complex. Students do have requirements, but they often have a lot of flexibility for when and how to complete those requirements. And then in the later years, especially, they have a lot of choice. And so we really want students to listen to their own voices and figure out what they care most about, where their passions lie, what are the options and the pathways available to them for developing those passions. At the same time, the advisor is going to be a voice of encouragement, literally helping students to find the courage to stretch beyond their comfort zones and to develop new passions, and also to be studying things that maybe they feel a little more struggle in or a little more unfamiliar with. And so a few things that advisors do: we have a dedicated period for advisories to meet every Tuesday morning. We were just talking at the start of this meeting about some of the conversations we had in advising this morning. It's a 40-minute period, and we hope that in addition to that 40-minute period, sometimes a student's advisor will also be a house counselor on their dorm team, and they'll have the opportunity to see that person in the residential setting, and somebody who can sort of be connecting with them during the study hours at night and have an eye on their sleep habits and sort of their well-being, all those aspects of well-being that support the academic success. We have a trimester calendar here at Phillips Academy. And what that means is a student's academic course load will be comprised generally of a mixture of year-long courses and term-contained courses. And that means we have the opportunity to sometimes choose new courses 3 times a year. The advisor oversees this course selection process, helps the student to keep an eye on the diploma requirements and make sure we're making good progress toward that completion. In the middle of 11th grade, every student will also be assigned a specific college counselor, and that adds another voice to the conversation of choices a student has. And so we really think about the advisor as one of the main adults on the core team who is in the student's corner, helping them access all the support services on campus, learning how to communicate with teachers, learning how to ask for help, learning how to reflect on what's working well and changes they might want to make. What are the choices available to them at any time in the year and as they're selecting courses coming up? What do they need to do to be able to succeed in this course or that course? And how can they connect with not only adults, but peers and other sort of aspects of campus life that nurture their identity and really sort of help them bloom into the best version of themselves. So we like to keep these advising groups small. The average advising group size is 7 students, and we feel it's really nice to have the boarding students be advised by somebody who has a lot of kind of proximate contact. So in general, our 9th and 10th grade boarding students are advised by a member of their house counseling team. And then as students get older and they make more connections with a variety of adults across campus, sometimes the older students are advised by a faculty member who's not part of their dorm team. And as with college counseling, they're just kind of collecting a little bit broader range of adults to their core team and their suite of sort of tightly held mentors.
Amazing. Thank you. As an academic advisor to day students, it's one of my favorite things I get to do as a faculty member. We had advising today and it was so much fun. We decorated some pumpkins, got ready for course selections that are coming up. Midterm feedback is coming out. So some great stuff today. Mr. Jacob, you are a rock star classroom teacher. You also serve as chair of our math department, and we have one of your students with us here as well, the amazing Sakina. Could you please give us just a brief overview of the math department philosophy in terms of placement, teaching, student support, and then Sakina, we'll ask for your perspective as a student with Mr. Jacob, and a little bit about how perhaps you've been inspired to dive deep into mathematics here at Andover.
Thanks, Mr. Graber. Hey, everyone. My name is Joelle Jacob, and I'm the Math, Stats, and Computer Science Department Chair. I'll start off with placement. We use a placement test that looks at the algebra and pre-calculus skills students have acquired by the spring before they enter PA. So what that means is that the majority of our new students take a course in the 9th grade that combines Algebra 1 and geometry. About half of these students take an in-depth study of algebra with some geometry topics. The other half take a more focused course on geometry, logical and deductive reasoning with a review of algebra. Many of our entering 10th graders start somewhere around Algebra 2 or pre-calculus, and our 11th graders with pre-calculus and trig. By 12th grade, students have a lot of flexibility and choice in what senior electives they want to take. Most of our students take calculus. What makes math different at Andover is that we have a number of starting placements, as many of our Algebra 2, pre-calculus, and calculus courses are trimester long. So our students really start their PA math career based on their placement test performance. So what this means is that students might start partway through the pre-calculus sequence, and we really believe that this actually gives students a lot of flexibility when it comes to scheduling, and it allows us to really focus the math course they want to take based on where they're at by the time they enter PA. We offer trimester courses and year-long electives in CS too. So I'm also a CS teacher, so I feel like I have to mention that. Depending on which of these courses, you might learn Python, Java, the languages of the web, HTML, JS, CSS, and Sakina might talk a little bit about that, and C++. So In terms of teaching, math teachers might use a combination of direct instruction, flipped classroom, cooperative learning, and individual assessments, as well as project and problem-based learning. There's no one set style that you're going to be experiencing when you enter a math classroom. And we really like this approach because it appeals to a variety of learning styles. It encourages students to adapt, learn math through doing, and practice self-advocacy. We give agency in our department, we give agency to our students by encouraging a growth of mindset, risk-taking, learning from mistakes, and focusing on process. And as you're doing that, you're going to find that your math teachers are available between classes, in the math building, offering evening review sessions before a major assessment, working with students in the dining hall during lunch or dinner. Teachers are available via conference period or working in the math study center, which is offered Monday through Thursday from 8 to 9:15. That's it for me, Mr. Graber. Oh, I think you're on mute, Mr. Graber.
Sorry about that. Sakina, how about your perspective in the math classroom?
Yeah. So, hi everyone, I'm Sakina. I was one of Mr. Jacobs' computer science students, but I also have experienced a lot of the math department teachers. There are a lot of ultimate Frisbee math teachers. I've had some exposure, and I guess just to give a little summary before any main questions pop up. The math department, like usually you, when you envision like mathematics, you think of like an individual, and sometimes you think of the demographic as being like of a certain person, a man, maybe white. And what's really, what I found great about our math classes, or the ones that I've been a part of, is, there's teamwork that the teacher encourages. Your grade and your learning also is intertwined with those of your table mates. And so like, as you're going through problems, it's a combined effort, and it builds a lot of teamship between like your table mates and the classroom in general. And you'll find out like in conference periods that Mr. Jacob was talking about, or ones that you schedule with your teacher, it's filled with a lot of kids, and they're all working together to try and figure out these problems. And so you get to know your classmates as well as learn different like things in math, and it's just a great experience. Of course, it varies depending on your teachers. Some have really hard testing every once in a while, or others just quiz you every week, and you learn to adapt to the cadence of the class. And I've felt like teachers are very understanding. I've gone to some of my math teachers and said, I don't understand what exactly to prepare for this test. And the response that I got back was, come to conference period and I'll help you figure it out. Or like a quick little email summarizing some of the main points and resources. So it's a very engaging field, and you won't be alone, even if you've experienced that in past math classes, being like in independent work groups or work studies. And I think you'll learn to love the different teaching styles of your teachers.
And Sakina, you mentioned a conference period. Can you explain to attendees exactly what that is?
Oh yeah, yes, I should. So conference period, they come in varying, like, I guess, definitions. There are set periods in the academic schedule where you can go to any conference periods for your classes. So math conference period would probably be hosted in like 2 rooms in Morse, and you can go to, and your teacher will be there to answer any questions. And you can also schedule some conference periods which are more personal, where you like go and address a problem or have your own little agenda for the teacher. And they're very simple to set up if you're making your own, but you can always rely on those times where you have nothing else to do but go to conference period.
Yeah, one thing that's really cool about the student experience here and the faculty experience is right around 90% of our faculty live on campus here with the students. So they are here throughout the course of the day to help students during conference periods and also in the evenings at what we call the Math Study Center, the Science Study Center, the Writing Center, the Academic Skills Center. We also offer peer tutoring. So there's help everywhere, which I think is one thing that's really important to understand about the Andover academic experience. Ms. Archambault, Russian, what an amazing language. You get to teach and you also get to serve as department chair. And we have one of your amazing students with you as well, Safwat. But Miss A, if you could, it'd be great to hear an overview of our language department's philosophy through the lens of Russian, including a little bit about placement, teaching, student support, and then we'd love to hear from Safwat as well.
Absolutely. Hello, здравствуйте. I am Cassie Archambault. My pronouns are she, her. My students call me Miss A, or if we're in class, they'll call me Yekaterina Renatovna. As Mr. Graber said, I am the chair and instructor of the Russian department. So here, and I'm also an alumna, class of 2006. And so we offer 8 languages here at Phillips Academy. We offer Spanish, French, Russian, German, Chinese, Japanese, and we offer the classics, Latin, and ancient Greek. And we require that our students complete a 300 level language course. And so you can take a placement test and place into 200 or 300 or even above, or you can start at the very beginning with no prior experience and start at 100 and make your way through the language. We have this 2+1 language rule that if you want to try a less commonly taught language for a year, and then after that year you're like, that was cool, but maybe it's not for me, then you only have to take 2 years, or you only have to finish the 200 level of a different language. We don't want to penalize you for stepping out of your comfort zone and trying something new. Andover is a great place to step out of your comfort zone and try something new. And so that's an opportunity that we offer with our languages, so that you don't feel penalized in case you decide to change your mind. And our less commonly taught languages are Russian, German, Chinese, Japanese, and ancient Greek. With the exception of the classics, all of our languages are taught in the target language. So the first day you step into the classroom, if you were to take Russian 100, you would just be hearing and speaking Russian the entire time. And I know that sounds really intimidating to students to be like, how am I supposed to understand what you're saying when I don't speak that language? And our teachers employ a whole bunch of different methods, whether acting it out. Safwat can attest, I throw myself on the floor regularly in class to act things out, pictures, songs, things like that, to get our point across. And we really believe that immersion is the best way to learn a language. I didn't know any Russian prior to taking Russian at Andover as a little 9th grader. And hey, now I'm chair of the department. So you can really take it all the way. We offer mini classes in those less commonly taught languages in the spring and in the fall for students if you want to get like a 20-minute exposure to help you make an informed decision about what language you want to take. If you've taken a language, if you've studied a language previously, you can take a placement test to determine the correct level for you. But you don't need any prior experience to start a new language. Whatever language you take, you'll have a wonderful experience, but that's, I think, a reason why so many students love to start a less commonly taught language, because all the students in that class are starting from the same point, which is 0, and learning together. They don't feel like other students in the classroom might know a little bit more than they do. Some student supports, Sakina already talked about conference period. Mr. Graber mentioned peer tutors. Safwat is one of our peer tutors. Some languages support accelerated learning. So for example, Safwat completed 3 years of Russian within 2. And so now he's in 4th year Russian, although he's only an upper, and he started his freshman year. And then we also have learning in the world programs to support our languages. And so every year, except for the past 2 years, but I take students to Russia for 3 weeks in the summer to live with host families and to actually apply what they've learned, which is a really cool opportunity for them to see how much they've actually learned and to interact with Russians and really get a closer look at the culture. So I'm going to let Safwat talk a little bit about his experience in Russian.
Hey everyone, I'm Safwat. I'm a 3-year upper from Dhaka, Bangladesh. I Actually, when I first came to Andover, I was thinking about taking another language such as Latin or maybe Chinese. But then I took the Russian mini class, I remember, on orientation day. And I was just immersed. I thought that what a fun language Russian was because of how Miss A taught it. Like when you step into the Russian classroom, I'm sure you can see it's where Miss A is sitting right now. Like you're completely immersed in Russian culture as well. Like there are Russian posters. There's a mini samovar, which is a Russian teapot, which is on the left side of the classroom. And yeah, like Miss A said, we don't speak English in class. Miss A only speaks in Russian, although that might seem a bit intimidating. You get used to it very fast, and it honestly helps a lot. So going back to the first point, like Russian is a very fun language to learn here at Andover, I'd say. I'm very happy I took that choice instead of taking Latin, for example, and if my first year here. And I started off in 100 with no previous knowledge. I'm currently in 520, which is advanced fourth level Russian, and I'm having a blast learning the language.
Safa, what would you say are some of the differences between Russian 100 and Russian 520?
Oh, there's a lot. We dive into literature. Actually, we're reading a book by Lermontov right now called Bella, and it's similar. Like we're analyzing literature, like similar to an English class, and we're and also we're diving into like more complex grammar subjects.
And Safwat, do you have a phrase in Russian that you commonly hear in Miss A's class? I just want to hear a little Russian.
So the joke is "Закройте книги, пожалуйста," is close your books, please. And when they hear that phrase, they know they're going to have a quiz. So that's like, is she going to say it today? Is she not going to say it today? But okay, Святослав, как тебя зовут?
Меня зовут Святослав.
Где ты живешь?
Я живу в Андовере, но я из Бангладеша.
Сколько тебе лет?
Мне 16 лет.
И сколько лет ты изучаешь русский язык?
Я изучаю русский язык 3 года.
Super. So I just was asking him his name, where he's from, how old he is, and how many years he's been studying Russian.
That was definitely a highlight of the webinar thus far. And Safwat, I think you got an A on that pop quiz right there. And just transitioning to Mr. Kaleha, you are here with one of your favorite students, Sophie. And Mr. Kaleha, please tell us a little bit about the English program, how we teach. We get a lot of questions about placements in the English sequence. Maybe you could shine a light on that, and a little bit about student support. And then we'd love to hear from Sophie as well.
Sure, thanks. My name is Mr. Kaleha, or Leo, and I'm the chair of the English department here. And, you know, the one thing I can say about placement, to just begin there, when you come in as a 9th or 10th grader, everybody is in the same class. So everybody's in the same 9th grade class together, and everybody's in the same, and for 10th graders, all 10th graders come in together. So, and we do that intentionally because we want those 9th and 10th grade years to build on what we feel is the hallmark of our courses, which is in the student experience here, inclusivity, learning different perspectives, thinking about different voices. That's one thing that we really focus on in an English class. And really getting people to become comfortable with each other and trusting with where people are at. And so I think that's the big thing with placement for 9th and 10th grade. Everybody's coming in, all the 9th graders are together, all the 10th graders are together. And I think it's an amazing part of the school because we, as a curriculum in the English department, we can do amazing things with the 9th grade, knowing that we have all of the students, all of the 9th graders. Similarly with 10th grade. If you come in as a new 11th grader, there is a bit of a transition. So you will be in a special class the first 2 terms, I believe, of your 300 year. And then similarly if you come in as a new postgrad or senior or postgrad, you will also be in a new course initially, but but then you'll have a chance to take senior electives, which are really the fun of our English program. So let me tell you a little bit about the teaching of English class. In all of my English classes, whether I teach 100 to the ninth graders or senior electives, I always start with a quotation that Sophie probably might be familiar with. It's on my syllabus. And I really think it resonates with all the teachers in the department. And so I'll just share that with you. And the quote is from a colleague of mine who teaches at Johns Hopkins, Ping Ong. She said that intelligence isn't a state of knowing more than other people. It's something that all of us have, which is the capacity to reflect on the limits of what we know and to open ourselves to learning from others, and thereby to become a clear, discerning channel for the collective intelligence accumulated with great effort throughout history. And this matches with what Mr. Mundra was saying earlier about collective genius. I feel like the class, the greatness of the class, of an English class at Andover, is because of the students, of what the students contribute to the class. And so we really emphasize building community in the classroom, having student voices be heard. And so I could run through what the curriculum was like, but I think, one of the things that I should say about student support is that I think built into the structure of the English courses is this emphasis on writing as a process, reading as an invitation to finding new things in a text, being able to discern and enjoy language, and really developing questions about text, not necessarily answers, right? And I think that's the way we all become better critical readers. So we have a writing center, which works not only with the English department, but people can come into the writing center with history papers they want to work on, or anything, bio papers. And again, the teachers are really supportive. They really encourage peer editing, workshopping, conference periods to do one-on-one workshops with students throughout the year.
All right, great. I want to pass the baton to Sophie for a little bit here.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sophie. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a senior from New Jersey. So I've had a fantastic experience with the English department here at Andover. My current English class is with Mr. Kaleha, and it's called Law and Literature. I'm enjoying it so much. And what's really special about the program is that we get to, as a senior, take these elective courses. You get to pick what interests you. And for me, I really love studying law and also love reading and books. And so this course is such like a perfect combination of the two. We're currently studying different Supreme Court cases and looking at how narrative plays a role in them. It's been really interesting so far. And I really just want to echo what Mr. Kaleha said about like support in the English department. I definitely feel like my writing skills have improved and that I've been like supported in that process. I've taken, English 100, English 200, English 300. And throughout all of that, there is a huge emphasis on writing, learning from each other's writing, and then also discussion. Discussion has been a huge part and is a huge part of the English department. And there's definitely a sense of using discussion as a way to better understand the books you read and, for us, like the cases that we study. And yeah, I've just had a really good experience. Some of my favorite books I've been able to read in English class. Last year, I read The Underground Railroad, which was fantastic as part of my English 300 course. And overall, it's just been amazing. So, yeah.
And Sophie, we're getting some really good questions in the Q&A about workload, like time management, like how much work do you get? When do you do it? Where do you do it? Sort of people want to put themselves in your shoes, sort of as you manage the workload here at Andover.
Yeah. I think that there also, people talked about time management as well. That's definitely something, it can be a bit of a learning curve coming into Andover. Like you have all this free time, you have all this freedom. Like after classes, what do you do with it? Typically what I'll do is I'll come back from sports, I'll grab dinner, and then typically, go to a club meeting or two, and then go to the library and sort of like settle down for work. What's really great is we have study hours from 8 to 9:30, and there's study centers during that. So if you're having like, I think that there's Math Study Center, there's Science Study Center. There's the Writing Center that Mr. Kaleha mentioned. So if you want to go get student support, that's a great resource as well. And I think overall, like, it is sort of something you have to learn how, how do I study best? I learn, even recently, I'm sort of still figuring out like, oh, I like work really well in the morning. So I'm like, I can like go to breakfast and sit down and work with my friends as we eat and be able to sort of like get in, an extra assignment for the day. But yeah, I think like learning about time management is a really important skill and something that I've definitely developed as a result of a lot of my classes here at Andover.
Sophie, I think that's well said. We hear that a lot from graduates who return to Andover and come back and visit us, that one of the best things they learned at Andover was time management. They leave here really, really ready for the challenges that lie ahead. Mr. Jacob, a lot of questions in the Q&A about math placement. When are math placement exams taken? Are they mandatory? Are they taken every year? Can you shed some light on that process?
Yeah, sure. So students who are entering Andover will take math placement tests around May during the spring, before they matriculate to Andover. So that's like May 1st. I think and you would know this better, Mr. Graber, about the exact date that the placement tests go live, but I think they're around May 1st. And students have around a month to complete those. And that's really the only time that students take a placement test. Sometimes, depending on where a student is at, a student might enter, and this would be like very few students, but we do have some ninth graders that end up starting because they have seen a lot of pre-calculus. They might start with calculus as a ninth grader. But by and large, most of our ninth graders are starting with Algebra 1 and geometry, or at the Algebra 2 level.
All right, very well said. Thank you so much. Ms. Tousignant, we have a question that maybe you can lend your perspective and expertise on, and that's about, do we offer film courses like screenwriting, acting on camera, directing, editing, music composition, things like that?
We have an elective in film scoring. We have an elective, a series of elective at the intro level and the advanced level in the art department, which is called video. And so it teaches you how to use the software. It's sort of principles of video making that could be used in the development of sort of filmmaking skills or for lots of other, applications. We have a few electives in the English department that study film from a critical lens of film history, or maybe focusing on a particular show like HBO's The Wire, an interdisciplinary approach to looking at that sort of long-running series through a variety of critical lenses. I myself, for many years, taught a senior elective in English on contemporary television. Again, it was from sort of the reading and writing about television point of view more than making television. We have acting and directing classes in our theater department. And to be honest, I don't know what kind of sort of filming components might be available in those electives. I know that it's a sort of live theater, and we have a lot of live arts performance creation where students can be the directors and they can write shows and they can perform them and participate in every aspect of theatrical production.
Great. Sakina, Sophie, and Safwat, what about the academic program at Andover made you say yes to Andover? Like, how did you sell this to your parents to say, this is going to be amazing for me? Safwat, if you want to hit lead off on that.
For me personally, it would have been like the diversity of ideas in the classroom that I shared. I guess like you're coming to a place with people from so many different backgrounds, different experiences, and that contributes a lot to the learning experience here at Andover for me, and that was the selling point for me.
Yeah. Sophie, how about you?
I also echo what Safwat said about diversity of ideas. I also think knowing that like I would be supported in every step of the academic process at Andover through my advisor and my teachers, being able to live in a dorm and even just like walk downstairs to the common room and ask a teacher for help has been a really great experience. And I also just think that knowing that I'd be in a community full of learners, people who are really excited to learn, ready to show up to class every day, and really just like bring their all to this academic program.
Sakina, how about you?
Yeah, I would say in part knowing that walking into Andover is walking into an immersive, also like demanding but challenging experience where you're going to always be learning and not always in the classroom. You can go out and find sources of new information, of new ideologies, start conversations with your teachers. And I think the special thing about Andover is that, teachers embrace that power of being able to like teach what they want and open up the class to whatever intersections their students bring. And I've been in those discussions like with Mr. Jacobs' computer science class, where we made projects that were like more personal to us and represented our identities and backgrounds. And I think that like coming into Andover academics, like there's a lot of opportunities to grow as a person and understand, how to express yourself in those terms with the people around you and with the variety of your teachers.
Very well said. And we have time for one final question. Mr. Mundra, this was a commonly asked question in the Q&A, but what makes Andover's academics just a little bit different than perhaps other schools?
Well, I would say we start with the people. And if you can imagine yourself in a classroom with students like Sophie, Sakina, Safwat, that's a big part of our experience. And yeah, I just want to echo, what the students were saying. It is the rigor of our program. We're serious about learning. And the breadth and depth, we have 300 courses, 150 electives, all of that. But really, when it comes down to the classroom experience, and I would say the out of classroom experience as well, our students are learning all the time. And I just want to echo the immersive experience of a boarding school, even for day students, the conversations that are happening at lunch, sort of walking up to the football field, on the bus to a game. They're not all like really heavy, serious academic, discussions, but it's a level of curiosity about the world. And it's a sort of a self-discovery. We have 2 museums on campus. We have a center for, gender studies. We have an incredible set of resources. And, when you come into our community, you're in our community for the rest of your life. And so, the 4 years is a part of your experience as an Andover student. I can tell you from my 2 kids who've graduated from Andover, it's their lifelong friends. It's the preparation for their experience in college and beyond that I think makes us really proud of the program that we're offering.
Thank you, Mr. Mundra. And thank you, everyone. Mr. Mundra, Ms. Tousignant, Mr. Jacob, Ms. Archambault, Mr. Kalea, Sakina, Safwat, Sophie, behind the scenes, Ms. Finney and Ms. Thompson. Before we let you go, I always like to give a final pep talk. And that is, for many applicants, the more you learn about Andover, the more you fall in love with it. And the more you learn about Andover, the more you begin to understand how selective our admissions process can be. And at that point, it can get a little scary. I mean, you apply to Andover because you really, really want to get in. I can tell you that one of our favorite days every year is when new students arrive and register for the first time. You know, we're there at one of the registration tables. I'm probably wearing this same necktie I have on now. And it's like, hey, I remember you. You know, I was your admission interviewer. I read your application, or I remember you from one of our virtual panels. Like, this is how it happens. If the more you learn about Andover, the more you feel like this is the right school for me, by all means, put your best foot forward and go for it. Coming soon, Andover at Home virtual panel. The next one is October 26th. We'll discuss campus and community life. So that'll be everything from campus life, clubs, weekend activities, you know, what we do for fun. And that'll be a really great one. So join us on October 26th for that next virtual panel. Also, a little plug for our social media. Follow Andover at Andover Admissions on Instagram and now even TikTok. We're working on that platform. Schedule your admissions interview if you haven't been able to do that already. Submit part 1 of our application, the candidate profile. Our application deadline is February 1st, but we suggest that you submit part 1 of the application as soon as possible so we can get your application going in our system. And last but not least, we thank you all for attending. We hope to see you soon. If you have further questions or if there's anything we can do to help, please just email us or call our office and we'll be happy to help you out in any way I can. Thank you so much, everybody. It was a lot of fun.